Alright, so let's talk about The Wheel of Time, Season 3 finale, and if you're anything like me, someone who hasn't read the books and barely remembers all the lore because it's been a year since last season, don't worry, we're in this together. I'm going to break it down in a way that makes sense for us regular viewers who are just here for the drama, the magic, and occasionally getting confused by all the names. Welcome back to your nerdy show. I'm your host, Spoiler Master. Now, first things first, yes, the finale was actually pretty exciting. I didn't expect to enjoy it as much as I did. Even though I still feel kind of detached from most of the characters, the stakes felt real this time. The pacing was tight, the action had weight, and even if I didn't cry when someone nearly died, I was still at the edge of my seat.
This is my hall. Open these doors. Now!
Lanfear versus Moiraine, a death that didn't stick. Let's start with one of the most dramatic threads in the finale, Moiraine and Lanfear in the desert. I mean, at first it really looked like Moiraine was done for. Lanfear had her choked out, and it was about to go down, exactly like the vision said. But just as things were looking hopeless, Moiraine pulls out the Sakarnan from the sand, this ancient power amplifier, and channels with it. Which sounds cool, but apparently even with that, she's still no match for Lanfear. And Lanfear, wow, she just dominates that fight. She's tossing Lan around like he weighs nothing, literally stabs Moiraine in the chest, and even twists the blade like she's savoring it. I'll admit, for a second there, I really thought they'd kill off Moiraine. I didn't feel super emotional about it, but it definitely would have been bold.
Sure that Randall Thor is never declared.
The power of love. Literally, but then we get that moment of pure fantasy payoff. After Siwan dies, which we'll get to in a second, Moiraine suddenly taps into this rage and grief and pulls the sword out of her own chest like it's nothing and comes at Lanfear with everything she's got. She even manages to slice Lanfear's neck, and that's when things flip. Lanfear, the overpowered, always in control villainess, actually panics. She runs. It's a wild reversal. And speaking of Siwan, what a brutal send-off. Her beheaded body just lying there in the White Tower was such a jarring visual. Earlier in the episode, she gets put on trial by Eleda, the new Amerlin seat, and this whole power grab is messy, brutal, and honestly kind of terrifying. Siwan, bruised and broken, uses her last words to declare her loyalty to the light, confess her love for Moiraine, and call out the other Aes Sedai for forgetting what they're supposed to stand for. It's a powerful moment, and even if we haven't spent tons of time with Siwan, it hits hard because of what she represents. Her death is really the emotional catalyst for Moiraine's comeback, and if you want to read into it symbolically, it's almost like love, not just romantic, but love as loyalty, grief, and memory is what gives Moiraine her edge over Lanfear in the end. Cheesy? Maybe. But effective? Absolutely. Rand's prophecy drop. Now let's move to Rand because he was doing a whole other kind of damage out in the desert. He shows up in front of the Aiel alongside another guy marked by Lanfear, and both of them claim to be the Karakarn, aka the Chief of Chiefs, the one the prophecy speaks of. At first it's not clear who they believe, but then Rand starts talking about what he saw in Tyr, and the Aiel's ancestral past, and how they used to follow the Way of the Leaf, which is a philosophy of total peace. It's not something they're proud of now, because the Aiel are warriors, and hearing that they were once pacifists kind of destroys their sense of identity, which, funny enough, is exactly what Rand is supposed to do. Destroy them, not physically, but emotionally. Break the illusion, reveal the truth, and force them to evolve. It's actually a pretty clever twist. Well, not your usual chosen one moment where everyone just kneels because of some prophecy. No, Rand has to earn it by breaking their belief system. The speech alone isn't enough though. So Rand does what any overpowered chosen one would do. He channels. And that's when it gets intense. The magic starts yellow, but it gets darker and darker until it's full on black. Clouds roll in, rain pours down on the desert, and for the Aiel, that's as much of a miracle as anything. The moment the rain falls, the chief declares Rand the Kara Akarn. It's official, he's their leader now, but there's also a dark side to this. Egwene tells Rand to stop channeling because it looks like he's losing control, and he doesn't listen. That's a huge red flag, because let's not forget, Rand is a male channeler and male channelers are always on the edge of madness. This finale doesn't let us forget that. As powerful as Rand is becoming, there's a real risk that he's going to lose himself.
I am your Carcon!
Moghedien's moves, collars, killings, and chaos coming. Let's jump to some of the side stories teased for Season 4. First, there's Moghedien, who we know is working with Liandrin now. She's got one of those collars, and apparently, two people have to control the wearer together. That's definitely going to come back next season. Moghedien has already killed one of the Forsaken, Samael, so the question is, what's her endgame? She doesn't seem like the type to play nice with others, so is she just going to pick them off one by one? That can't be good for anyone, even her. But it is fascinating. Now let's talk Nynaeve. She finally gets her powers back after nearly dying thanks to Liandrin. And when she splits the waters, that was such a good moment. One of the best in the finale, honestly. The kind of fantasy spectacle that makes shows like this worth sticking with. The big question now is whether she'll keep her powers consistently, or if it's still tied to these intense life or death moments. Also, how is she going to tell the others? Or will she hide it until the next battle? Quick little speculation on Rand's love life for Season 4. If the show sticks close to the books, Rand ends up with 3 lovers, and Egwene isn't one of them. But I think the show is going to remix that. So far, it feels like it's shaping up to be Egwene, Elaine, and Avienda in a weird love square, while Min kind of gets paired with Mat. Not sure how I feel about that, but it could work if they actually build up those relationships more. Right now, everything feels a little rushed or surface level.
I saw the history of the Aiu through my ancestors.
Is Aleda's reign already in jeopardy? And finally, what's going to happen at the White Tower? Siwan is dead, but there are still Aes Sedai who didn't support Aleida. People like Varen, who might not be openly rebelling yet, but you can tell they're not just going to accept this new regime quietly. Oh, and Elaine has that new magical weapon she used in the finale. We don't know much about it yet, but I'm guessing it'll come into play next season in a big way. Season 4 looks like it's setting up for a team reunion with Rand, Elaine, Min, Avienda, and the rest. Plus, Moiraine's still alive, so she's probably sticking around until the last battle, which might even happen next season.
I defy you, Aleida!
Our nerdy thoughts. So yeah, crazy finale. Not perfect, but definitely thrilling. Even if you're not deep into the lore or don't feel super connected to all the characters, the spectacle and the stakes were enough to keep things interesting. And hey, now we actually have things to look forward to. More channeling, more betrayals, maybe even a wedding? Let me know what you thought of the finale. Did it hit the right notes? Are you as confused yet intrigued as I am? Drop your theories, your favorite moments, or just scream about the rain scene in the comments. And if you made it this far, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and ring that bell, because if you think this season was wild, something tells me Season 4 is going to go full chaos mode.